Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, I will talk about a drama crime movie from 2021 titled House of Gucci, based on a true story. Without further ado, let's get started. Maurizio Gucci finished his dinner in 1995 and starts riding his bike back home. His wife, Patrizia Reggiani's voice is heard as she talks about how alluring the Gucci name was to her and how it was also a curse. The movie then flashes back to 1978 with Patrizia Reggiani, a young, attractive Italian woman, arriving at her father's small trucking firm to work as a manager. As she chats with her father, Fernando Reggiani, she gets a call from a friend named Max, who invites her to a party tonight. After dancing, she goes to the bar where she finds Maurizio Gucci and expresses her interest immediately after discovering that Maurizio is related to the Gucci dynasty. The following day, Patrizia stalks Maurizio and follows him to a library. Pretending to be there coincidentally, she engages him in a conversation and learns he is becoming a lawyer. As he is about to leave, Patrizia stops him and inquires if he will ask her out, to which he replies, yes. Later, they spend the day in town and share meals before taking a boat to a lake. Meanwhile, a guy named Franco keeps an eye on them as if he is ordered to do that. Maurizio invites Patrizia to meet his father, Rodolfo Gucci, who doesn't seem quite impressed with his son's new girlfriend. After the meal, Rodolfo warns Maurizio that Patrizia is solely interested in money, but he denies. However, Rodolfo warns him that he will lose his inheritance if he marries her. Maurizio leaves the family as he chooses Patrizia's love over his association with Gucci. After being kicked out of his house, Maurizio rings Patrizia's doorbell and tells her father about the relationship while requesting a job. After getting a job at his trucking firm, Maurizio marries Patrizia without his father's will. Reading the news about Maurizio's marriage, Mr. Aldo Gucci visits his brother. He advises him to sort things out with Maurizio, as he is his true legacy. But Rodolfo considers his son a history now. However, Aldo insists on coming to his birthday party on Sunday, where everyone will be present, including Maurizio. Later, Aldo Gucci calls Patrizia's phone and invites the newlywed couple to his birthday party. Although Maurizio doesn't want to go, Patrizia manages to convince him. After playing the game and wishing Aldo a happy birthday, the family sits in a hall where Aldo's son, Paolo, is talking about introducing new ideas to Gucci. However, Aldo doesn't seem to like Paolo's style of taking Gucci to a new level and deliberately hurts his feelings. While coming home, Maurizio talks about he is Gucci by name and doesn't have his family's Tuscan character in his blood that suits him more. Opening the envelope given to her by Aldo, Patrizia finds 2 tickets to New York, where he requested her to come. As Patrizia is watching TV back in her house, she passes by a woman named Pina, who can help anyone with anything using her knowledge. Out of curiosity, Patrizia calls Pina and inquires if she will be successful, to which Pina responds that she sees a great fortune coming her way. Arriving in New York, Patrizia visits Aldo and requests him to help Maurizio and Rodolfo reconcile. Aldo takes the couple to their old village, where he shows them the cows that are the direct descendants of Guccio bought back then. After celebrating the birthday again, Aldo converses with his nephew about the business because he can't talk about this with Paolo. Later that day, Patrizia tries to convince Maurizio to give importance to his family and the family business. Saying this, she gets close to Maurizio and informs him about her pregnancy, leading Maurizio to accept his family business again. The trio again sets up a meeting where Aldo wants Maurizio to be the foreign affairs coordinator. They can use Maurizio's knowledge of law and language skills to deal with the company's essential affairs. Patrizia seems excited. However, Maurizio needs time to consider his offer. On the other hand, Paolo arranges a meeting with Rodolfo Gucci to discuss his ideas because his father ignores his talent. Paolo shows his new designs to his uncle, hoping to get a positive response. However, seeing the unusual combination of pastels and brown, Rodolfo cannot stop telling him that Aldo was accurate about his incompetence. When he leaves for another meeting, broken Paolo throws Rodolfo's designed scarf on the ground and urinates on it, saying that he will launch his own line. Months have passed, and Patrizia gives birth to a baby girl named Alessandra. After receiving a letter about Rodolfo's illness, the couple visits him in his home. Patrizia shows Rodolfo his granddaughter's hair and informs him she is named after Maurizio's mother. Rodolfo cannot hold his tears and welcomes Maurizio back into the family and business. After some days, Rodolfo dies due to his prolonged illness. Although he has left so much worth for Maurizio, he forgot to sign a share certificate, making Maurizio pay 1.4 billion lire of inheritance tax. As he cannot afford to pay, Rodolfo's lawyer, Domenico, suggests he has to sell his shares. However, Patrizia doesn't want this to happen. Maurizio has started his new job in New York at his uncle's office. One day, when Patrizia witnesses her maid's bag with a Gucci tag on it, she informs about the cheap selling of their bags to Aldo. However, Aldo seemed quite relaxed, stating that with his techniques, he has been able to build an empire, unlike Rodolfo and Maurizio. The situation even worsens when a fashion show designer calls Gucci a cheap operetta, saying that nobody wants to work with Gucci these days. Hearing this about their brand, Patrizia gets upset and instructs Maurizio to eliminate Paolo and Aldo because they are an embarrassment to the company. Domenico informs Maurizio and Patrizia that Paolo is starting his line, to which Patrizia thinks they need to build a bridge with him to sort things out. The following day, she heads her way to Paolo's and praises his design just to prevent him from going against the family business. Patrizia instructs him that maybe he can leave his father behind and think about something big. She offers an exclusive deal to distribute his designs under Gucci. When she tells about her meeting with Paolo, Maurizio gets upset because he can see his wife playing a game. The following day, Paolo meets Maurizio and tells him about his father's tax evasion. However, Maurizio instructs him to keep the information to himself as this is a major crime in America. However, they can use this as leverage to persuade Aldo a bit. At night, Paolo warns Aldo that he has to give him the freedom to make decisions, otherwise he will expose his tax evasion. Considering it just a warning, Aldo hangs up the phone. However, the next day, FBI approaches and arrests Aldo for criminal tax evasion, and the court sentences him to 1 year in state prison. Although the cousins have planned this together, Paolo panics about what will happen if the FBI starts to dig deeper. He claims they were supposed to spook his father, but the investigations look serious. Maurizio calms him down and explains to him about sending their contract next week, after which they will start working on his line. The fashion show starts where Paolo Gucci displays his own designs. Just then, an FBI officer arrives and seizes his show for breaking certain exclusive rights granted to copyright holder. Approaching Maurizio, Paolo mourns and inquires them why did they do this to him, to which Patrizia responds that he abused the Gucci name and started the trade war. Maurizio offers him a proposition and states they want to buy his Gucci shares. Paolo gets shocked hearing this, and he says he would rather see Gucci burn than giving it to Maurizio and Patrizia. Some days later, financial police raid Maurizio's house, making him escape the area and head his way to St. Moritz. When Patrizia gets home and is shocked to see armed police officers in her house, but keeping herself calm, she tries to help them. Domenico arrives and informs Patrizia that Maurizio has crossed the border and is in St. Moritz, where he is waiting for her. Later, it is revealed that Patrizia has used the forged signatures on the share certificate that Rodolfo forgot to sign before his death. However, she blames Paolo while talking to Domenico. In St. Moritz, Maurizio finds one of his classmates, Paolo, to whom he seems to be attracted. Seeing this, Patrizia gets jealous and tries to brag about her wealth. Maurizio interrupts her, pointing out every single unnecessary detail that she added by herself. After being insulted in front of his friends, Patrizia inquires about his behavior. Maurizio responds to her query, saying he is tired of her odd, destructive behaviors that made him sneak around in his own family and set father and son against each other. Now he only wants her to stay away from Gucci before she causes any more damage to it. Later, to prevent the business from downfall, he finds investors to buy the other half of Gucci. Aldo has been released from prison and is shocked to hear that Paolo has sold his Gucci shares to Maurizio. The relationship between Maurizio and Paolo has escalated to the extent that he wants a divorce from Patrizia. On the other hand, when some investors try to buy Aldo's shares, he refuses, but seeing Maurizio behind the door, he gets shocked and calls him a traitor. He signs the deal, inquiring furiously that this is what he wanted. To take his business to the next level, Maurizio meets designers and collaborators, but finds nothing but rejection. Domenico informs him about a young Texas designer whose ideas catch his eyes. As they prepare for their new launch, Patrizia makes an assassination plan with Pina. The fashion show under the new design goes well beyond expectations, reviving Gucci's reputation. Everyone is happy about the success, but at the dinner party, the investors tell Maurizio about their offer of $150 million in exchange for Gucci's 50% stake. Infuriated, Maurizio feels deceived by Domenico, slams the plate on the ground, and leaves. The movie's first scene continues as Maurizio leaves the restaurant while the shooters follow him to his penthouse. As he reaches the building, a shooter gets out of the car and shoots Maurizio 3 times, resulting in the painful demise. The movie ends with an epilogue stating that Patrizia Reggiani was arrested for the murder of Maurizio Gucci, and so too were Pina and 2 shooters. All were found guilty. Patrizia was sentenced to 29 years in prison, while Pina to 25 years. On the other hand, Aldo Gucci died of prostate cancer in 1990, while Paolo Gucci died in poverty in London in 1995. In 1995, Gucci became a publicly listed company. Today, Gucci has been a global success story in the fashion world with an estimated value of $60 billion. There are currently no members of the Gucci family at Gucci. If you have already watched this movie, share your reviews with us in the comments below. Before you go, make sure to like this video and subscribe.